all this week we're going to be working on getting things ready to wean the calves. And we're going to spend that time doing that because we want it to be as stress-free as possible. And that's for the cows, that's for the calves. We're going to be sorting bulls off at the same time, some of them, so that's for bulls, and that's for us. Myself, and especially Miss Lisa. I do not want her to have any stress on this because it's much more difficult to get her to do it again next time. So one of the biggest issues that we have when it's time to wean the calves is what I'm fixing to work on here, which is the bog at the gate.
Stuck.
This is where world's greatest works. That's kind of hard to say. But this is where she spends her time. And what she has to face right here is she faces cattle coming from this way and mama cows, and some of them are a little nervous, some of them aren't. We usually get rid of those that are really high-headed. But every now and then she has to make a quick move and a quick decision, and she's got to work that gate, she's got to work that gate, she has to work this gate, and she has to work that gate. So if she's bogging up to her ankles, that may not be good if a 900-pound animal comes running at her, which that's my job to not let that happen. But hey, nobody's perfect. So I'm going to spend some time working on that and working on this area and see if we can at least address that part of kind of some issues when we're sorting the calves off to wean. You know, last time we tried to bring the cow herd in, we had a little bit of trouble getting them in the pens, and I really think it was a function of space. Also, one of the biggest issues is the way they rotate, at some point before we bring them into the pens, they're coming off of that big creek. And when they come off of that big creek, it's very difficult to get them all because I'm a one-man show and I've got to cover both sides of the creek. So that can be frustrating. Hey! However, there's some things that I can do to kind of help that, and I'll talk about that and show you that as I go along. Maybe it'll help some of y'all. So we've got to address those three things in order to kind of get ready to get the calves in and get them weaned. So here was step number one. Our fence, our panels, used to come, you can see where this tall grass is right here. And you can look down this line, you can see my shadow. You see that line right there, that's where the pens were. That was the, I guess that would be the south of the north border of the pens. And you can see what we did. Lisa came out and got on the skid steer, and I had two more of these 16-foot powder rivers, and that's what the rest of it's made out of. And so what we did was we just basically extended it that way and then moved this whole wall 32 foot over. And so we picked up quite a bit. If you look down through there, it's going to be almost twice as big as it was. Now, that was extremely difficult for me to put those panels like that. I don't know if y'all have heard me talk about that before, and I still got a lot of cleanup I need to do here, but that was extremely difficult because they're zigzag. I tend to want things straight, but I'm slowly getting over that stuff. Now, if I'm stretching one of those goat fences, I want it straight. But this, if you look at it, these are just held together by these bolts here. So by zigzagging them, we're creating a little more stability when the cows kind of start getting into this thing. Now, we went ahead and put our pipe back here that we drove in the ground, and you can see how soft the ground is. It's not going to do a whole lot of good, but it's going to help. That's another reason that we zigzagged it, because they need some backup there. So that part is done. It's going to be fine. This part right here will be the only part that if you get too aggressive with them, it could be an issue. But the key with that is don't get aggressive with them. If they're so juiced up that they're crowding into that and they end up pushing them over, Number one, I've either got way too many in here, or number two, I didn't handle them right. So either way, it's my fault. So that's settled. So we got that done. The pen is bigger and we shouldn't have any trouble fitting them all in here. So now let's get to work on Lisa's mud hole. I'm usually a pretty relaxed person. Every now and then you may see on a video where I get a little excited, but a lot of the things we do are very serious. This is one of them. Especially when we're doing jobs that are gonna make handling the animals or doing something with the animals make it better or make it healthier or those types of things. That's a very serious thing for us, because if we don't get the calves weaned in a healthy, stress-free, injury-free manner, and that's both for the animals and for us, like I already talked about, that's not good. You know, I mean, Lisa, if she was to get stuck in that mud right there, and one of those cows come through there and just mow her down, it could be completely catastrophic, or it could just be, whoa, I don't want to do that again. But we can't afford to have that. You know, that's happened to me before, and it was with a weaner calf, and they hit me in the middle of a gate, and I flew to the next gate. And it didn't hurt me bad, but it sure made me change how I did things. So you've got injury at stake. You've got, you know, how many calves? Do you get all the calves in? Are you going to have your number of calves that you need to kind of take to the sale and to continue on this journey as far as paying your bills and all of that stuff? And that's getting harder every year. And it's not just for us. I know it's for everybody. So there's a lot at stake. So it's important how we do it, and it's important that we get it done, you know, fairly quick. This part's done. The pins are done as far as the size. All of this is complete. So now we have to work on kind of getting the cows this way. Okay, so we're down here in the bottom. We came down here to start the cattle moving along the river that way and get them down to where they can cross, and then start working them towards the pens. If you've seen a video on our channel before about being flexible, that doesn't have anything to do with my flexibility physically. It has to do with my flexibility mentally. And that's what I'm fixing to talk about here. You know, I came down here to do a job, and I just got here. I just drove into the area, and I'm looking at what's here. And you can see there's no fresh cow sign in here. It's a road through here, and on the edges it gets good sunlight, catches moisture, so it's a good place for them to come, and they always hit it. Well, they haven't hit it yet. So based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm going to postpone moving them to the pens. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the channel before, but one of the reasons I have to be flexible is because of these rivers. This is a bigger river over here that I've talked about before, and I'll link a playlist that's got all the videos that we've had that has to do with the river getting up or getting out or flooding. And so we have to kind of be flexible around that. So when the river is not up, I want to graze this. I don't want to just pass through here and not hit, you know, 50% of it. I want to graze all of this. So they haven't been here yet. I'm going to continue to drive. I'm going to see if I can't get across the river, because it's at a spot where I think I can. And I'm going to look and see what the animals look like and make sure that they're still gaining, because from the last video with the cattle, it's time to put weight on them. So I've got to make sure that they're doing that first. And then the second thing is, while I can and the rivers are not up, I want to utilize this, because there may come a time, and there has been a time, where it's been you know, a couple of years before I could kind of utilize this creek. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the decision right now. And just like I was flexible to make that decision, I'm flexible to change it based on what I'm fixing to see. They're just now getting back on this side of the creek to graze. You can see they put on all kinds of weight since the last cow video. And hopefully it's just going to get better. These little pigs, they're hanging right there where it's safe. You got to be careful when you're walking down through here. Based on what I'm seeing, forage-wise and condition-wise on the cattle, we will not be moving today. Remember I told you last week, if we don't get around fast enough, this stuff will be headed out. You know, another good reason to kind of continue grazing right here in the creek and slow them down just a little bit is right now, if you notice on the trees, they're just now starting to get some leaves. That means the green that you see over there under the trees is still gathering energy from the sun. It's not being shaded by leaves yet. So this is the perfect time to be utilizing that. So everything is just kind of falling into place. It's amazing how that works. Okay, so the good news, we're ahead of schedule on the pens. They're ready to go. We got that bog hole filled in. I think it's settling out nice. It's going to dry up nice. By the time we get the cattle over there, it ought to be in good shape. We widened the pens out, got that staggered where it's going to be stable, so those are going to be good to go. So I'm excited about the pens and how they're going to work this time. I think it's going to go a lot smoother, which is going to mean less stress and all of that thing. I guess the other good part about what's going on is the cows. We're down here grazing this creek and we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep right on moving down it. We'll move them a little bit at a time, and we're not going to rush it, because when you can graze this creek, you want to graze the creek. As Ian Mitchell Ennis says, it's a use it or lose it. So we're going to use it, and the cattle are showing that we're doing the right thing because they're looking outstanding, especially compared to how they were 2 weeks ago. It's amazing how fast they put it on. So I guess we've had a successful week. Thanks for watching, and maybe next time we'll have them closer to the pens and be just about ready to start sorting and weaning. Thanks again.